Hi, and thanks for attending. Today we're going to take a look at VMware's vFabric Application Director. Now, there have been a lot of products emerging in the cloud space that are about building monolithic, heavy, static, multi-VM applications, storing those in a catalog, and then providing end-user portals for end users to go in and perform self-service provisioning of these applications. Application Director, on the other hand, is unique in that it's all about the whole application lifecycle. It's designed to support not only provisioning, but also patching, updating, and even code and script changes too. If Application Director managed as app VMs, as these monolithic, heavy, static apps, it would be very difficult to support anything other than deployments. However, with vFabric Application Director, it stores the metadata at build time in what's called a blueprint. It then performs a dynamic assembly of that blueprint at deployment time. This makes it unique and ideally suited to supporting the entire application lifecycle. It also makes it unique in that it can support heterogeneous cloud environments, since it's not pre-building these static VMs. Why don't we take a look? I'm going to log in as an administrator, so I have access to all the various screens. You'd probably set up different users and groups and configure appropriate roles based on what your organization needs down here in the administration section. Now, when we take a look at this main screen, we see several different areas. We have managing applications and managing deployments. That's where we'll spend most of our time, and that's where this demo is going to stay focused. Over on the right, we have cloud setup, which is where we set up our various heterogeneous cloud environments. They can be a combination of several private clouds within our organization. We could have public cloud providers in there and hybrid cloud configurations. And then down in the catalog is where a catalog admin would be responsible for defining the various operating systems that are available, and also defining all the different software packages that our organization is going to support within this space. So for now, why don't we go in and take a look at managing applications. So this is where we see a list of the blueprints that have already been created, and we can go in and maintain those existing blueprints. These are some examples of blueprints that are provided to you right out of the box. But we want to go in and see how easy it is to build a new blueprint from scratch and then actually deploy that application. So to do that, we're just going to give this application a name. Give it a version number. And we're going to log in to the application creation area. So in this big section, this big white area here in the middle, this is what we call the canvas. This is where I can actually define the specifications that make up my application. Now over here in the upper left hand corner, we see details about the application that we're working on, the name, the version. We're working on the blueprint, and if this blueprint had been used for deployments, I would see them listed here. Now in the bottom left hand section here, we see a list of operating systems. It's pulling these out of the catalog, and as I mentioned earlier, a catalog admin would be responsible for ensuring those different operating systems are available and any other operating systems that your organization wants to support. Now over here in the bottom right hand corner is a list of software that's available, and this is the software that's configured right out of the box, but again, a catalog admin can go in and add more software packages and create all the silent install scripts that are necessary to make that work. And then in the upper right hand corner is a list of various types of scripts or components, what I like to call widgets, which actually comprise the core aspects of my applications that I'm building. So obviously I'm building a platform with an operating system and web servers and app servers and databases, but this is where I actually tie in the actual code of my application itself. My jar files, my EAR files, my database scripts, and things of that nature. So let's see how hard it would be to build a 3-tier web, app, and database application. So to start, we need some operating systems. So we're just going to grab some CentOS operating systems, and to make it interesting, I'm going to throw a Red Hat operating system in there as well. Doesn't change anything. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to name these tiers web server, app server, and my database server. So now I have my operating system set, but I need some software on them. Well, I don't know anything about installing Oracle, but I don't need to. I just drag and drop Oracle and say I want Oracle on there. I don't know anything about how to support and manage Tomcat, but I can just drag it over there. Same thing with Apache. I can get even a little more interesting because I want to have an association between my web and my app and my app and my database. Well, I can come over here to this little icon here where I add relationships, and I'm going to add a relationship between these. At this point, I could deploy this application right now and actually have a core development platform that any developer could take and start building applications on. But we want to be a little more specific in this case. My DBA requires some particular SQL that should be ran on any database within our organization. So maybe I want to drop some SQL onto the database. And he's going to give me the actual SQL to run, but I want to make it part of this package. So I'm just going to come over to Action and click on Script and place DBA SQL here. Now we'll just cut and paste it right into this document, save it, and now it's part of that package. Now there was one other thing. We have a requirement for some elasticity in our cloud, right? We want scalability and clustering capabilities. So over here, these little boxes in the upper corner are all about nodes, and I can come to the app server and click on it, and now it gives me a clustered multi-node app server. And I can come down here and say how many nodes that I actually want in that environment. At this point, I'm done. That application is ready to go. It meets all my business requirements, and I'm ready to deploy it. So if I come over here to the Deployment tab and click Deploy, it's going to walk me through the steps necessary for deploying it. First thing it'll do is ask me for a deployment name, call it HR Development. And then it's going to go out to the cloud providers, and it's going to associate everything that I've done with the appropriate cloud resources and allow me to verify that I'm selecting everything I need. Good example of that would be cloud networking. Maybe I want to pick a different network for this particular deployment. So based on my credentials, we'll see what I have access to. We're just going to leave it VLAN 76 for now. We're going to go next. Now this is at deployment time where I'm able to change certain dynamic parameters. Common one is going to be in the Oracle database where the SID, which is the unique database name, I don't want it to be example, we want this to be HRDB. So at that point I can give my database an appropriate name, and I can then continue on our way. From here it's going to show me what's going to be installed. It's going to show me the different operating system tiers and the different applications that are getting installed on there. And if I'm okay with all that, it's going to give me a little bit more detail of the process, and at this point everything looks good. I'm ready to click Deploy. Now for purposes of this demo, we're not going to actually do the deploy. We're going to go look at some now that have already been deployed. We come back to the main screen and we come to deployments. From here I can see two applications have been deployed already, right here. We see one of them deployed successfully and one of them failed. Let's first take a look at the one that failed and try and figure out why it failed and what would be involved in fixing it. So from here I still see that it failed, and under this reason box I can see it tells me see execution plan for more details. Well, up here is a tab, the execution plan. If I click on that, it shows me again what was being performed, and it shows me little red X on the Oracle install. So I know that's what failed. If I click on this little drop down and say view logs, we can very quickly scroll to the bottom here and see exactly what happened. Write error disk full. What was happening during the Oracle install was it was trying to unzip the Oracle files, and it ran out of space. Very easy fix. I can modify that OS image and give it more resources, or I can use a different OS image that's maybe already been configured with more resources. Because these are just blueprints you saw earlier, it's just a simple task of dragging and dropping and putting the right components where they need to be. Let's go take a look at the one that succeeded, and I want to highlight a few things in there for you. If we look at this one that succeeded, we see deployment successful. And if I scroll down here, I can see the various VMs that got deployed. I could actually click on these and go right into the console if I wanted to. I can also come over here and see the IP addresses that were used. And again, if we have SSH enabled, or I can go in and log in with SSH, or if they're web servers, I can actually access the web server using that IP address. Again, informational, I can take a look at the blueprint and see what the blueprint looked like. We can also look at the execution plan, and we notice there's no red X's on anything. Everything has a green checkbox. Another way to get into the VM consoles is to come to the console tab and just very quickly you can see the IP addresses and also go right into the console from here. So that was a very quick overview of vFabric Application Director, showing you what blueprints are and what deployed applications look like. I hope you found it very informative, and I thank you very much for your time and attention.